start. Go ahead.
Oh, okay.
So, let's start by you telling us who is Roosevelt Bud Reese?
Bud is a dynamic and phenomenal individual. Um, he has many layers to him, though, and so if you only meet him in passing or just talk to him for a few minutes, you won't really get to know who he really is. He's probably one of the most loyal, dedicated, and generous people that I know.
If you had to describe him in 3 words, what would they be and why?
The first word I would use to describe Bud would be resilient. Um, Growing up in South Memphis, it's not an easy feat for any young man, and he was able to press forward with that and on to TSU. And so the resilience is definitely there. So that would be the first word I would use. The second word I would use would be generous. He does believe in paying it forward. We talk often about tithes and offering, and one of my favorite scriptures, which is Luke 12 and 48, to whom much is given, much is required. And he definitely tries to live his life in that way, and is just a very generous individual. The last word I would use would be loyal. If you have Bud Reese for your friend, then you have a friend for life. He's going to be there for you through thick and thin, the good times and the bad. So definitely my 3 words to describe him would be resilient, generous, and loyal.
How would you describe your friendship with Bud?
I tease about Bud being my first responder friend. And what that means to me is if you're in an emergency or a crisis, the first person you want to see is the fire department, the police department, those first responders. I see him that way as my friend. It doesn't matter whether I call him or not. If he knows I'm going through something, he's going to be there. And to use his own words, he said, you know when you got a friend because they're there when it counts the most. And so that's why I like to call him my first responder friend. We don't get to choose our family, but we do get to choose who we want to be friends with. And he is absolutely a friend, but he's also my mentor and my big brother.
What makes him a great grand marshal?
I see Grand Marshal as a leader, not just someone in a leadership professional capacity, but someone who deserves to be honored in their own right. And knowing Bud like I do, he would much rather be on the sideline cheering someone else on for their accomplishments. But I'm just so excited that TSU saw fit to honor him, and I think they absolutely made a wise choice because he has that unwavering love for TSU and such a generous spirit, and I think that makes him an outstanding choice for Grand Marshal.
How did TSU impact him?
I believe TSU had a lifetime, life-changing impact on Bud. He doesn't take for granted that he grew up in South Memphis and went to Carver High School, and I say that a lot because there are just so many obstacles and barriers to success, and you have to be resilient to make it from that situation. He ran into someone named Cliff Stockton who kind of directed him into TSU, and he believed in Bud, and Bud believed once he got on campus that I can do this. I can make it through TSU, and he did. Went straight on, finished undergrad, finished his master's degree. And what I really think the impactfulness comes is in how he pays it forward with young people. He encourages them to go to college, not just college, but certainly TSU is the first choice, and to get their education and keep moving forward. So definitely TSU had that impact on him and given him that confidence in himself that he can do whatever he sets his mind to do.
Tell me a story about him that best describes him.
You know, Bud has enjoyed a long and successful career in mental health, and we've had the opportunity and the privilege to serve so many people with mental illness. But there's just one guy in particular that stands out to me. I was in Bud's office one day, and someone was knocking on his window. And he went to the window and started talking to this young man outside. And he said, well, this is a friend of mine. You know, he told me later that this person went to TSU with him. However, early on in their college career, this individual had a psychotic break, and the mental illness set in, and he's lived with mental illness the rest of their lives. And this young man was probably about 50 at the time, and he would always come to see Bud, though. He would not stop at the front desk, wouldn't have an appointment, never went through the secretary or anything. And he probably knew, being the resourceful person that he was, that the best way for him to get to Bud was just to go. He knew where Bud's office was. He just went around back and knocked on the window. And that says a lot about Bud's character and who he is. At that time, he probably had 100 people working for him. He could have directed anybody to take care of this man. Still, you know, his needs would have been taken care of, but he didn't do that. He did it himself. That speaks very highly of who he is, and that he never forgot where he came from. And he continues to treat people with dignity and respect. So that I think describes him very well, who he is.
Share one of your fondest memories of Bud.
I have so many fond memories of my friendship with Bud that has spanned over 20 years. But the one thing that I remember is how gentle he was with his sister, Ruby, who passed from cancer. And she was very sick for quite a while. And he was right there from the beginning to the end. He was just such a big brother. He was definitely in big brother mode with her. And I just couldn't believe just how gentle and kind and patient he was with her. And that is one of my very fond memories of my big brother. It says how important family is to him, and he displayed that with her in her time of need.
Any extra comments you would like to add?
Well, I would just like to say congratulations to my big brother, Grand Marshal Reese. Way to represent Carver High School and South Memphis. We are so proud of you and honored that TSU saw fit to name you as one of their Grand Marshals for this year's homecoming.